Kurt Gowdy Award goes to a media member that is most deserving. It's an honor. Okay, well, in true fashion, J.A. Adande, who really, let's be honest, his only redeeming quality to get this award is mediocre columns at one point in the L.A. Times and being black. That's it. That's all this guy has to get any type of media award. Oh, and he teaches media, I guess, at Northwestern. Well, of course that qualifies him for the National Basketball Hall of Fame Kurt Gowdy Award. I mean, how couldn't it? I mean, we would have to. I mean, other recipients of the award are Wilbon and Costas, Vitale, and Vesey. They were due for an African American. But this isn't just simply race pandering. This is putting in one of the people in America with one of the worst takes ever in the history of sports broadcasting. That's right. Now, in the history of sports broadcasting, there have been bad takes. I mean, I've given bad takes, but nothing like this. Adande actually compared red state voting to genocide in China. How about that? Were Adande to be a Caucasian, he would have been fired from every job that he ever held, including sports writer, including at the aforementioned Northwestern. He would have been considered for nothing, a Hall of Shame maybe, but certainly not the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Frankly, I didn't even know Adande did basketball. I saw him once in a while. Seems like a nice guy on that show with Tony Reale. I can never remember what it's called. But the fact of the matter is, there is no bigger pandering operation than the National Basketball Hall of Fame. While Adande can tout his mediocre column about the intersection of race and basketball, really? I mean, God, that's a real reach there, really. Race and basketball are intersected. Ucha, Capesta, my eyes are burning. That's Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. See if you're old enough to know the reference. Anyway, while at the New York Times, he'll always be known as the U.S.-based journalist who downplayed China's treatment of Muslim. I'm going to say this wrong, so I'm just not going to say it. You can read it. Which the U.S. Secretary of State found in 2021 includes genocide. That's right. That's what this J.A. Adande, who, by the way, my niece takes classes for him and really likes him. So I'm giving you both sides. I'm trying to be fair and balanced here, kind of how MSNBC is, fair and balanced. While 22, while appearing on ESPN's Around the Horn. There you go. Oh, wait. Pronounced Uyghurs. Thank you very much, Nick. Around the Horn, Adande defended China. Imagine a white dude doing that. Just say that right there. A white dude defended China. Oh, let's give him the Kurt Gowdy Award at the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Hell, I said I wouldn't go swimming in the pool, go at it in a pool with a woman that wasn't my wife. And I had the entire national media hankering for a hanging. Let's hang Dakich. But anyway, long story short, while appearing on ESPN's Around the Horn, Adande defended China hosting the 2022 Olympics. According to Adande, Americans have no right to question human rights violations in China because the human rights violations that exist in the United States. Man, everybody's trying to get that cat money, yo. Everybody. Here's Adande spewing Adande stuff.
And then as a reporter, how do you reconcile enjoying this competition while also considering everything I just said?
I think it's standard in sports right now. You have to have a cognitive dissonance. You need to compartmentalize. We've never had a more enjoyable NFL playoffs in this country, and we've never had more people watching the playoffs, and yet it goes on amid the ongoing allegations against Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington football team, and the continuous concussion concerns, and now the concerns about diversity and the allegations and the questions about competitive integrity even, all of that. And yet we're still enjoying the games. And who are we to criticize China's human rights records when we have ongoing attacks by the agents of the state against unarmed citizens, and we've got assaults on the voting rights of our people of color in various states in this country? So sports, I think it is possible, and it's necessary more than ever to just shut everything out if you are to enjoy the actual games themselves.
I appreciate everything.
It's never-ending assault on voting rights. Hey, fat lady in the house, get an ID. Huh? That's the assault on voting rights. You got to have an ID. The consistent attacks on unarmed. Yeah, right. I mean, if you really listen or see what George Floyd and others did, they're not very good people. Jacked up on fentanyl, stabbing pregnant women. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? The one dude, what was his name? Jacob Blake. I think he's still alive. I'm getting into this all confused, but he's got a knife going to at a cop, gets shot, and Jalen Rose says, hey, he got killed. I don't think he got killed. Honest to God, it's never ending. It is never ending. The assault on voting rights is really funny to me because, see, that's the deepest cut in his mind. I see what he did there. I understand this. Look, the whole thing about killing an unarmed person, Adande is smart enough to know, yeah, well, more white people get shot by cops than black people, and in every instance, there's a reason. The voting rights thing is where Adande tries to cut deep. And think about it. What are the real attacks on voting rights? Show an ID. That's considered now an attack. You got to show an ID, and it's well documented. I'm not breaking new ground here. You want to buy some smokes as a kid? Show me an ID. You want to drive a car? Show me an ID. You want to buy some booze? Show me an ID. You want to buy a gun? Show me an ID. You want to get in a bar? Show me an ID. I could go on, but vote? Hell no. Nah, don't have to show me an ID because that is an infringement on the voting rights. What? Really? I don't think so. And he doesn't either. But he's trying to get that cap money. See, remember the time you couldn't be on TV unless you were going to make up some type of racial division in our country. It was important that you did that as an African American and as a white dude. As a white dude, it was probably smarter to shut up. But you had to be involved, and you had to perpetuate the myth that George Floyd and others were good people, innocent bystanders. And then, of course, the truth came out, and you're like, whoa. But the ball had already been rolling down the hill, the proverbial hill, as it were, and away we go. And guys like J.A. Adande, who are now receiving media awards, didn't really care about the truth, didn't really care about facts. Of course not. Facts hurt the cause. The cause, to paraphrase the team from Bo Schembechler. That's the truth. That's all it is. That's all it was. And so now the Basketball Hall of Fame, which I swear to you, if you look at a Basketball Hall of Fame, you never, ever, ever go, oh, okay, yeah, that guy should be. Who's that guy? Seriously, who is that guy? I mean, honest to God, that what now? Wait, what? That guy got in where? He did what? Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, it pays. So now Adande gets to show his little ring and be a real guy. Look, kids, I'm a real boy. I can see J.A. Adande saying that. It isn't really Adande that bothers me. It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Indiana Hall of Fame. It's the National Basketball Hall of Fame. I get such a kick out of it every year. And people will say, whoa, you're jealous you're not in. Really? I didn't do anything to deserve to be in, other than be the most handsome man to ever play college basketball. I didn't do nothing to be in. Why am I jealous to be in? I'm simply saying this. J.A. Adande is a bullshit artist. J.A. Adande is, well, worthy of being in the Basketball Hall of Fame based on that. Damian Woody's always funny to me. Damian Woody, one time when I was in the makeup room, I think it was Greenberg and I sitting there, and Damian Woody's like, what is he doing? Oh, he's getting ready for a set. He gets nervous. And then he gains weight. He loses weight. He's kind of the clown prince of the morning shows at ESPN. He tries, really hard, and good for him. He does. He tries really hard. I mean, there isn't a human being alive that says, hey, I want to see what Damian Woody has to say. In fact, most people say, who's the fat guy on my screen? But Damian Woody came strong. He didn't hold back when discussing Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni's behavior after the team's win over the Browns, chirping his own team's fans after they chanted "Fire Sirianni" and raining down boos on the team. The dude is a straight clown. I don't have any respect for what this man is doing. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I mean, if Damian Woody doesn't respect you, boy, here he is, Woody.
D. Wood, what'd you think of that?
What's this clown behavior, bro? This dude is a clown. Like, seriously, you gonna seriously talk trash to the fans?
Your own fans.
Your own fans. Like, listen, people come out here and pay big money to come out and watch you put a product out on the field. When you don't perform well, they have every right to boo you.
Damn right.
And you gonna get all in your feelings because fans are booing you because your team stinks? Like, bro, come on. And then you brought up in our meet, like, oh, then you're gonna bring your kids into the post game to kind of soften the blow from what reporters might ask you. This dude is a straight clown, bro. Like, I just don't have any respect for what this man is doing. Y'all barely beat the god-awful Cleveland Browns, and then you want to talk trash to the fans. Get the hell out of here.
Well,
Why would anybody care if Damon Woody has respect for him or not? I mean, why would any NFL head coach care where Damon Woody doesn't have respect for himself? I mean, why would any NFL head coach care if Damian Woody has respect for him? No, seriously. Look, sometimes it's just fun to bring your kid. You don't bring them up after a loss. You know what I mean? Why would anybody, why anybody care? Like, you lose a game, you don't bring your kids up. You win a game, hey, it's kind of fun. The kids get to be up there. Damian Woody is another guy, and I'll say it. I'll be the only one to say it. These dudes will criticize white head coaches left and right. They will. I don't know why it bothers people. Look, you're an adult male with the great American penis, and you're close enough to fans that they're booing you, saying they should fire you, and you're not allowed to say anything back? Bullshit. No, the hell you're not. Honest to God. Honest to God, you're not allowed to. You can't say anything back. You're just supposed, well, you got to be the bigger man. These dudes are only the bigger man in terms of how much they eat. They ain't the bigger man in anything. So Damian Woody just needs to sit his fat ass on that set, be grateful that they have him on, and stop calling people that are actually involved in the game clowns. I'll let everybody know when they're clowns. That's the kind of suck that I have. Damian Woody should just sit his fat ass on a set, watch the games, hope they don't fire him, and move it along. That's it. He doesn't need to be calling anybody clowns. Hey, look, I was a head coach. I brought my kids to the podium. Why? Because I damn well felt like it. And if your fat ass don't like it, God bless you. If you do, God bless you. And if somebody's going to close enough to me that I can respond back to a fan, even my own, hell, I did it. I did. We're playing Minnesota. I'm the interim head coach. We're 2-1. We had just lost to Michigan State. I got a team of freaking pimps, literal, drug dealers, and I'm not letting them do drugs anymore. We play a mediocre first half against Minnesota. I walk out and some jackass IU for, come on, Dakich, blah, blah, blah. I say, fuck you. So I understand where Sirianni is at. Woody's fat ass is sitting there getting his makeup on, sweating because he's got to make 3 comments on TV and calling people clowns. No, Woody, you get your fat ass out of here. How about that? And get some people who actually can understand what a coach goes through on a set, other than Rex Ryan or Herm Edwards. Although Lane Johnson says the offense is constipated. They're grunting one out there. Let's hear from Lane Johnson. They're great. I don't know if he's a guard, tackle, bald-bearded guy. Big, fat, bald-bearded guy.
That made some plays for us.
Lane, it's a win, but is it disappointing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said I feel like a very constipated offense. We do some good things. We have all this ability, but we have yet to prove, that we can hit on all cylinders. So that's definitely something that's going to be on our mind. I think, moving forward, that's something we got to fix, especially starting fast. We haven't done that in 2 years, so it puts ourselves in a bind. So, yeah, this game was maybe a lot more competitive than what it needed to be, but hats off to the Browns, man. They played hard.
Yeah, it's really always funny to me. Guys that are actually playing in the offense bitching about the offense. Like, I always hear players say, it's about players, not the coaches, until it goes bad. And then it's like, hey, you know what? It's constipated. I don't think he was criticizing coaches. I think he was just simply saying stuff. I think he was just talking. I think it was pretty funny. Speaking of the Browns, Super Bowl champ Mitchell Schwartz, I don't know who the hell Mitchell Schwartz is, ripped the organization for staying the course with Deshaun Watson after his latest abysmal game this weekend. It's incredible shitty to do this to the rest of the team. Joe Batono is out there every week playing through who knows what. That's a lineman, a defensive lineman, and has to wreck his body when they have no chance of being good because of the quarterback. Myles Garrett is playing in pain every week. Feel for everyone else there. Whoever is doing it is the one doing a disservice to the rest of the roster. By the way, the Browns have yet to score 20 points. ESPN's Field Yates, points out the Browns were the first team in 10 years to fail to hit the 20-point mark in their first 6 games of the regular season. And with no hope in sight, Kevin Stefanski field questions, he's the Browns coach, about the starting quarterback. He was adamant Watson would remain the starting quarterback. Watson has gone from a top 5 or at least top 10 quarterback when he was with the Houston Texans to statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards since January 3rd, 2021, the final game he appeared in with the Texans. At the time, 300 passing yards were routine for him. He hit the mark 10 times in the 2020 season. All right. If you watch this show enough, I ain't mad at patting myself on the back. I ain't mad at doing a little this. And I ain't mad at reminding you. It was a few years ago when he was with the Texans, he being Deshaun Watson, that I got to watch him twice. And both times he took a in the bed to win the game. Once at home against the Colts when he fumbled a snap. And then the second time on the road, for the Colts on the road. Let me back up. Once in Indianapolis when he had the ball on the 4 or 5 yard line and he screwed the pooch, fumbled the snap, did all kind of stupid stuff to cost the Texans the game. Same year, road game for the Colts at the Texans, he did the same thing. I remember saying to people, I go to Colts games. I sit 6th row behind the visitor bench. I've watched Deshaun Watson. He was pretty good early. But even before he came to I just got a kick out of myself using the word even before he came because, that's one of his problems. But anyway, even before he went to the Browns, your old friend Double D, a.k.a. me, I told you. I said it. I don't know, man. I know everybody was loving on him, putting a big squeeze, putting the arms around him. But I said I watched that guy the bed a few times. And that's not what NFL quarterbacks are supposed to do. They ain't supposed to do that. They're supposed to win the game for you. They're not supposed to the bed, but they did. Now, how dumb, how really, really dumb are the Cleveland Browns for making that deal? Now, I'm being serious here. That is, I sound like Joe Biden. No joke. And by the way, I got to tell you, no, I'm serious. Deshaun Watson stunk before he went to Cleveland. When they made that move, I told El Presidente, bad move. He stinks, overrated, and then you add in 8 bazillion people accusing him of a rub and tug, you think he's really good? I don't. I didn't. I am smart. The rest of the world is wrong. You know, it wasn't so long ago that Time Magazine is trying to gaslight us. They put a lovely picture of Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, Harris, on Time Magazine's cover. A candidate for now or something ridiculous like that. Well, you would think Time Magazine, after doing that, after helping America's, the worst candidate in the history of America, a lying, gaslighting clown, basically a side piece with a microphone, you would think that Kamala Harris would jump at the chance to go and be interviewed by the obviously friendly Time Magazine. I would think that, but again, the hell do I know other than, Deshaun Watson stunk. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently that's not what happened. Time Magazine has been snubbed, as everybody has been snubbed, except, of course, the brothers or the sisters that, are going to toss the softballs. Hell, 60 Minutes edited her interview. 60 Minutes, by the way, just edited Speaker Johnson's interview. Not 60 Minutes, CBS. The hell we doing at CBS? Anyway, I digress. So Time Magazine ain't having it. Time Magazine's calling Bolshevik. Time Magazine's saying no, Donald Trump. Here's what Time Magazine had to say, and Time Magazine was not happy. Not at all. Despite multiple requests, Time has not been granted an interview with Kamala Harris, unlike every other presidential candidate. Well, now they're going to lie to us. We believe in transparency and publish each interview in full. Why isn't the vice president engaging with the public on the same level? Now, this guy, Benoff, is the chair at Time.com. He is also the CEO of Salesforce. So he's a very popular man. He's a very powerful man. Why isn't the vice president being open? Because she's an idiot. I mean, have you seen the woman? Have you seen the woman speak? Have you heard her? She can't speak. She's inept. She's ridiculous. Why, you ask? Isn't she being transparent? Because she doesn't know anything, and she doesn't take the time. Harris declined repeated requests for an interview for this story. In contrast, Trump talked about his policy vision with a Time reporter for 90 minutes across 2 interviews. Biden spoke to Time at similar length before dropping out of the race. Well, why does she have to? Once you put her on the cover, it's somewhat like a team. It's like a team giving a contract to a player prematurely. Basically, it's like the Colts. If you're going to give a contract to a player prematurely, guess what happens? That player is no longer beholden. He's got what he wants. Time Magazine, you were stupid. You put this woman on the cover before you made her give an interview. Give the interview, put her on the cover. Don't put her on the cover and then ask for an interview. I get it, Mr. CEO, Mr. Mark Benoff. I get it. You tried to gaslight us by putting this clown on the cover. You dolled her all up and put a very elegant picture. And then you went back. And then you said, yo, we want an interview. Don't you know who you're dealing with? Don't you know you're dealing with a snake? All you got to do is read the reports from people that worked with Kamala Harris. All you got to do is read from people that have been around her. She doesn't work. She's arrogant as hell, really dumb and unprepared. So when you allow somebody like that to get a new contract or their picture on the cover of your magazine, there is no chance somebody that is as arrogant and dumb as Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, Harris, is going to come back and say, yeah, I owe you. No, she's entitled, and you entitled her. And when you entitle entitled people, they act entitled. How do you not know that? Like, you're like the CEO of stuff. I don't know. I know that. And I talk to people out of my basement. I don't know. It's just amazing. The more I'm in the business world, the more I can't believe I'm not a billionaire, because a lot of you people are idiots. I want to get to this story, but I'm not sure I have time. So I'm going to do it after we talk to Kenny Albert. Kenny Albert just called his 500th game for Fox. It's pretty cool. The story I'm going to get to is about Nevada players saying we're forfeiting our match. However, the Nevada school said, no, we're not. This is interesting. Kenny Albert coming up next. And then I'm going to get into the drama. And there is a lot of drama about, listen to this. You ever think this would come out of a national show like this, one of the most popular in the history of the world? Did you ever see, when we come back, we got a monster show on San Jose volleyball? Did you ever think that would come across? The great Kenny Albert just called his 500th game for one network, that network being Fox. He joins us. Kenny, now don't give me the old, well, that just means I'm old line. That's what normally people say when they get a record, right? It just means I'm old. That's a hell of an accomplishment, but you were telling me during COVID you had to miss one because of the bubble of the NHL. Tell me about that.
Right. First of all, Dan, always great to be with you. Thanks for having me on. I don't feel that old, so I won't use that line with you here. But no, I appreciate it. The 500th NFL broadcast with Fox this past Sunday in Philadelphia. Did miss two during that 2020 season. I had been in the NHL bubble in Edmonton calling playoff hockey games in the month of August and into early September. And I was scheduled to work week one of the NFL season in Detroit, and then in New York, New Jersey, week two at MetLife Stadium. And it turns out there was small print. The NFL had instituted some rules for everybody, players, coaches, broadcasters, anybody entering a stadium for a game that season. You could not have been out of the country within the previous 14 days. And it was small print. Nobody noticed it until a couple of days before the game. So even though I had taken a COVID test for 37 consecutive days and was coming from probably one of the safest places in North America, the NHL bubble, I could not work those first 2 weeks, but totally understood the rules. You know, those were the regulations that were in place. And so I guess if not for that situation, it would have been 5:02 this past Sunday.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, people are going to look back at those times and have stories like that. Like you're sitting there every day, you're getting tested. You're probably the safest person to have in the entire stadium coming from Canada and then being tested. But you couldn't do it. You're New York. Last night, almost a New York sweep. The Mets got it done. The Jets, not so much, man. It was kind of a fun night. The Yankees got it done. Kind of a fun night for New Yorkers last night, no?
It was a really fun night. I was actually working the Rangers-Red Wings hockey game, and the Rangers won 4-1. So that's another victory on the New York belt. But no, you're right. Mets and Yankees both winning. Now, the Buffalo Bills put out a tweet. Remember, they're located in New York State. So they actually tweeted, Yankees win, Mets win, Bills win. What a night it was for New York.
Okay. I get it. It's like guys from Valparaiso, Indiana claiming Chicago. I get it. We all get it, right? I mean, hey, Kenny, by the way, I want to go back to something. You were at that Eagles game. What's your take on Sirianni? I know you've talked to him, and what's your take on all the stuff that people are angry about, chirping at his own fans, kids at the press conference? What's your take on all that?
You know, I heard about that after the game. I was driving home, so I didn't witness it. We got out of there pretty quick, but he's an energetic guy. You know, it sounds like he was just having some fun with the fans. I read that he brought his kids to the press conference. We sat down with him Saturday at the Eagles facility, and, you know, this is a team that they came into the game 2-2, and you know, there are so many moments that you can look back on, but if Barkley doesn't drop that pass, and he's off to an outstanding start with the Eagles, but if he doesn't drop that pass in the last minute against the Falcons, when they would have been able to run down the clock all the way, they're 3-1 and then 4-1 with a win over Cleveland. So they're 3-2. They got the job done, although, you know, it looked like they had things under control. at the end of the first half, and then Myles Garrett makes an unbelievable play. He blocks a punt, and the Browns tie the game at 10 right before halftime, and the Eagles go on to win the game. But, he's when you meet with him, he's such a positive guy, full of energy and enthusiasm. So I know that, the media in Philly was all over that Sunday night and, yesterday, the day after the game. But their team won the game. So I know they're moving on. They play the Giants this week, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more storylines during this week, and people won't be worrying as much about what happened after the game on Sunday.
Hey, what did you think? Deshaun Watson hasn't thrown for a couple hundred yards. They haven't scored 20 points, all that kind of stuff. I mean, what'd you think of Deshaun Watson? What's going on?
Right, when you talk to him and you talk to Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, leading into the games, they're saying all the right things. We had them week 3 against the Giants, and again this past Sunday in Philadelphia. And you're right, they haven't scored more than 18 points in a game. Their offensive numbers are down towards the bottom of the league. Watson hasn't thrown for 200 yards. They have had a lot of injuries, and every team has injuries, so you don't want to necessarily use that as an excuse. But they had injuries at the wide receiver position during camp and preseason. They've been without Nick Chubb. It sounds like he's on his way back, maybe even this week. The tight end, Njoku, who did play on Sunday, he's had injury issues. They had a ton of injuries on the offensive line. Their starting center, Ethan Posick, didn't play on Sunday, and then they lose the fill-in, Nick Harris, 3 or 4 plays in, and they have to move over the right guard who hadn't played center in a long time. So, that might be one of the reasons that they've been a bit out of sync. The running backs did look pretty good the other day. Jerome Ford got hurt, so they were down to the 3rd and 4th string. Their defense played well despite some injuries on that side of the ball too. So, 11 wins last year, despite 5 different quarterbacks, but a tough start for the Browns this season.
Kenny, you've been doing this a long time. First guy to call 500 games for a single network in the NFL. Does the NFL, this is a dumb question, okay? But I'm going to ask it anyway because I feel like he's lurking. I feel like Bill Belichick is lurking in Dallas. He's lurking maybe with the Jaguars. He's lurking with the Giants. Is Bill Belichick not being in there felt, and is Bill Belichick's presence like being the guy to jump into other jobs, or am I just making up media stupid stuff?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the sidelines next year. He's so close to Don Shula's wins record, and we've always heard over the last couple of years that that's something that's very important to him. Obviously not the only reason why he would come back, but he's a football lifer. This is his first season since 75, not coaching somewhere, whether it was the internship with the Baltimore Colts, and then he went on to the Detroit Lions, and of course the Giants, and the rest is history. Head coach in Cleveland, and then all the years with the Patriots, some time with the Jets. So I certainly wouldn't be surprised. I think he's doing a really good job with the media stuff. I've caught him on the Manning Cast and some of his other shows. And it's funny, you hear all the time that he's not great with the media. We see the clips from the press conferences. But when we get him in these production meetings prior to games, you sort of learn through the years, okay, don't ask him much in depth about his current team because he really is not going to want to share that information. However, once you get him going on the historical stuff, he's great. I've been in meetings with him where he's gone on and on about his time with the Giants, with Bill Parcells and Lawrence Taylor, his time working with his dad, who was coaching at the Naval Academy. He was a ball boy with that 1964 team. Roger Staubach had the great year. So when you get him going on historical stories, it's tremendous and a lot of fun to sit there and listen to. But, will it happen for sure? Who knows? But I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he's back somewhere next year.
That whole thing, I remember working for Coach Knight, and he would always say publicly, I don't care about what Adolph Rupp's record and my ass. He had it printed out, like written out how many wins it was going to take. So nobody can tell me that Belichick isn't at least thinking about, hey, last thing, I know you got to run. Who's the best team in the NFL?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't seen every team in person yet. It's only been 6 weeks. You certainly have to put the Chiefs up there. And, I really like what Minnesota's done so far. We had them the first week against the Giants. I love their head coach, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, their defensive coordinator. So I know they're coming off the bye. It's still early, but you have to, be impressed with the start the Vikings have gotten off to. In the NFC, the Lions are going to be there at the end. You look at the San Francisco 49ers, obviously in the tremendous job that they've done over the last 5 or 6 years. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a sleeper team, not necessarily to go all the way this year, but a team to keep an eye on. We were in Chicago last week. Was pretty impressed with the Bears and their young quarterback, Caleb Williams. So they were a lot of fun to watch. We'll see how things play out in the NFC East. Another tough loss for Dallas. Over in the AFC, Buffalo, Baltimore. I mentioned Kansas City already. A lot of good teams out there. But among the teams I've seen, really impressed with Minnesota.
Last thing, because the boys in the back are all Ranger fans. How good are the Rangers this year?
They're as good as anybody in the NHL. They won the President's Trophy last year, best record in the regular season. Fell a bit short, lost in the conference final. But with this core, they've gotten to the Eastern Conference final 2 of the last 3 years. They faced some tough competition. Only one team can win in the end. There are 32 teams in the NHL. Only one team goes home happy. But I think they have as good a chance as anybody in the NHL this year to win it all.
Yeah, my boys are all excited. Opening night, was it last night, right? Was last night opening night? I think it was.
Game 3 last night. They beat Pittsburgh
6-0
opening night. Lost in overtime to Utah, and then came back strong 4-1 over the Red Wings last night.
How weird is that to say Utah in the NHL?
The Utah Hockey Club. They're off to a good start, too. They finally lost. They had won their first 3 games.
No, I got friends that live in Utah are all fired up. They're all hockey guys. They can't wait. Kenny, thanks, man. Appreciate your time. Thanks for spending
Dan.
some minutes with us, and congratulations.
Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate it.